Okay, wait, are we in the camera? Oh, we look cute though. We shining, really nice. shining, yeah. Oh,
why your legs?
Okay, right. Wakanda forever!
Get Molly next to you. And these candles by my bed just so I can set the mood. Told me that she got it, told her that I need some food.
First and foremost, let's just say right now, right, there's gonna be spoilers in this.
Yeah.
So if you have not yet watched Black Panther and you don't want any spoilers, turn this video off because we're gonna be spoiling it for you.
Hey.
If you haven't watched the movie yet, if you haven't watched Black Panther yet, this is not for you. Just step off of it, go and watch it first, and then you can come back to this.
Yeah.
But this film was bloody amazing.
Was spectacular.
Oh my goodness.
Was just wow. It was so, like, when I came out, I couldn't stop speaking. Like, there was just too much. There was just too much going on. It was so overwhelming.
It was literally how it was when I came home.
Like
sorry, I didn't even explain properly. This is a very impromptu, very random, spontaneous video
what we're gonna talk about, like,
that we decided. Well, that I decided, and I dragged my sister because my sister went to go and watch Black Panther yesterday.
Yeah,
I watched it today, and like I was like, listen, I need to switch on the camera. I need to talk about this because that's how much I love it. Yeah. That's how amazing this flipping movie is. It's like that amazing, so that's why we're here today. So apologies for the poor introduction. Fam, the movie was just it was just
it makes you feel like it makes you feel like that.
Okay, right, let's start with characters.
Okay, so oh my god, I forgot the names. So the main character is T'Challa.
No, we don't need to explain. I ain't even trying to explain. I'm just trying to explain how I feel about the characters.
Okay.
Let's first of all talk about the fact that the whole cast was black.
Oh, obviously you had the colonizer, like the colonizer. Played by Martin Freeman, who is just kind of just a side man.
He really is.
Like, he adds to the humor because they're just there to kind of like take the piss out of him. Which
basically, I love it. It's fantastic.
But yeah, apart from that, the whole cast like
black. Like, just imagine how empowering that is to go and sit in a cinema and just
see
different versions of. So the cast as well. It wasn't like a we're gonna pick the lightest black person.
It didn't feel like there was colorism in there. Yeah,
most definitely.
It didn't feel like there was colorism because it, like, the main characters were dark. Like, they were the darkest of the dark. And you know, in like melanin, like black movies, a lot of the time the main characters are sort of brown skin, light skin, and that's as dark as it gets. Yeah. And like, it is obviously, you know, good, like, that it's a black movie, you know, at the end of the day, but it just still feels like there's a hierarchy.
It still feels like there's a hierarchy. And in this movie, there isn't.
The dark women at the front.
It's like all the dark, literally, like, the main cast members are all dark-skinned black people, and you know, with their natural hair, with you know, bold hair, like
no hair, bold hair,
just amazing,
but it's still beautiful.
And the characters, do you know what? Every single character was very, very interesting in their own right. Yeah, I particularly loved. I want to talk about the dynamics of the men and women in this movie, right? The dynamics was incredible.
I think that's definitely what.
That was the thing that I was like.
There was a matriarchy.
What, fam?
There was a matriarchy.
It was literally it was a matriarchy. Obviously, there was still the king and all that kind of stuff, but the women were at the forefront. The women were warriors. To depict black women as warriors, you know what that is? Black, and they were, and did you notice as well that they were covered up the whole time?
Yeah. They didn't have to be half naked. There was only one part where
when they went to the Korea place. So there was one part when they went to Korea. Yeah. I said the Korea place. Wow.
The Korea place.
There was one part when they went to Korea, to South Korea. Was it South Korea?
South Korea.
Yeah, Korea. Okay. So there was one place when they went to Korea, and obviously to blend in with like the rich people, they had to dress accordingly, right? Yeah. And then tell them about the wig part, because that was a bit when I came in.
So basically, so the main sort of, I forgot her name, but the main sort of warrior woman, like leader woman, she is usually bold. Like she had no hair on her head.
No hair.
She was rocking
shape up, everything.
Literally, like no, she didn't have a shape up in this. Like she was completely bold. Like she was bold. Like, but she had the tribal like marks on there. She had the tribal like
that little thing that we just watched.
Because
shape up in that.
In her interviews, like we did our research. Anyways, so like she came in and they had to disguise themselves because they were spying on the person who had their
he stole.
I can say it. They stole their
we
artifact.
said there's gonna be spoilers. So
the artifact, which was vibranium, which was actually Wakandan artifact, and they were there to basically fight to get it back, and they had to go to South Korea, travel, because that's where the exchange was gonna be, and they had to blend in. So she had to wear some like low cut dress, and it was like red and some gown, and
that was the only part where she was wearing
where she was, you know, dressed up like that, and she's usually bold, and then she was like at some point like she had to wear a wig.
She wore a wig.
The wig was
it wasn't even a long wig.
Yeah, it was some short like
little whatever wig. Look like auntie wig, I'm not gonna lie. It looked like a Viola Davis.
Viola Davis wig from season 1, bruv. Season 1. Anyways,
they did Viola Davis wrong in season 1 with her wigs. Like why?
There was no like parting.
It was just really bad. But
she fixed up though. Season 4. Get on it, guys. Get on it. Anyways, so she had a wig on, and then she like you see her getting irritated. She was like I've had enough.
No, she said what is this stupid thing on my head or something like that. She said something so funny. Bearing in mind, all of them have African accents, by the way, which is amazing. Like they all had African accents, but she was basically just like, why have I got this stupid thing on my head? Like, it's a disgrace. She called it a disgrace. She was like, this stupid thing on my head, a disgrace, and it just makes you think. Like there were loads of jokes and loads of passes and little jests and here on things that were very, very stereotypical, or things that kind of went that are not depicted as the norm, not the norm, sorry, that are not depicted as embodying blackness. So
like
wigs and weaves were kind of like but I'm saying as well as obviously having they touched on stereotypes, which we're going to speak about in a second, but they also touched on the other side where like the wig thing, the whole wig
so like
thing
she hated it. She didn't see why she had to wear it,
like,
why this was a pretty thing, because Lupita's character must have said it's beautiful, but she was like
but then Lupita had her natural hair out.
She had her natural hair out.
It was just,
it was amazing. And then when they got into the fight scene, like the first thing she did was she threw off her wig and she threw it in the white man's face. I was like,
it was really interesting. But, oh my gosh, you just made me realize something. She took the wig and threw it in the white man's
his face.
I don't know if that's really, I feel like if I'm reading into it too deeply.
But I noticed that, and I was like,
you could also see it as kind of like a take, because obviously normally a lot of people say that like you know wigs and weaves are black people. Look, we're wearing wigs right now, whatever, but wigs and weaves are black women or black people trying to abide by Western white ideals, like standards of beauty, European standards of beauty. Obviously you can have a whole debate about that. I think I might even do a video on that, because
that'd be a good video.
I don't necessarily ascribe to that, and I don't necessarily agree completely. I understand obviously why people would say that, but there's reasons why I don't agree completely. But basically her then taking it and dashing it in the white man's face, it almost kind of like, I don't need it does feel symbolic. Now that I think about it, it's like almost saying like, I don't need what I don't need to abide by. I don't need, number one, I don't need validation from you, and number two, I don't need to abide by your standards of beauty, your European standards that tells me that I'm gonna be more beautiful with this.
She was throwing those standards.
I take it off and I am free, and I am strong, and I am powerful, and I am do you know what that can we get a click from the audience in the background?
Can we get a click?
we've got our other two sisters, the other half of the clan is over there. Okay, so characters, that was amazing. All of the characters, it was a black cast,
all the characters
dark-skinned black people. They all were powerful. The women, that's what I was going to talk about. The women were at the forefront of this entire film. Like the women, like I said, they weren't valued for their sexual prowess, or is it prowess? I don't know, prowess. And they weren't like kind of valued for like their bodies and whatever,
like,
they were just like, as in the women were warriors. And did you realize as well in the beginning when it was the fight scene, where basically they had a scene whereby you had to challenge. You could challenge the king to try and get the throne. Okay, that's how you do it, and you fight to try and get the throne, physically fighting. But then you also saw that on the guy's side, that guy that came later, the ape guy.
Yeah, the gorilla.
On his side, his army were all men. Then on the other side, did you not see when they were all women and they were all getting closer and closer?
Oh,
when they were going to the cliff?
My god! Yeah, the two different tribes.
The two different tribes. The women they weren't just in the background. They weren't just kind of like oh, we come to the women, maybe later when we need someone to be sexy. And the women were literally there. They were the warriors.
And the fact that they were so obviously his tribe had the army, which was just full of men, and that but the Wakanda's the whole country. No, oh, what's his name? T'Challa's tribe, who his army was full of women, but it's like they're not seen as weak, and they're not just, you know, the mothers, the carers or nothing. They were the warriors getting in there, as in they were part of it with their spears, being a part of it, all part of it, and they were just as strong. They were just as strong.
It was just the way that, and then the bit that I can say about the kind of like the dynamics between that was really interesting between men and women was when basically there was like a war almost broke out.
There was a civil war.
There was that representative of the Civil War?
No, not representative, but they actually said like there was a... No, it wasn't. That's another show. Sorry.
Wow.
Because Daniel Kaluuya's army with the Liputas and all that kind of stuff came and they fought each other, and you had the red people fighting the blue tribe. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. It's like the Bloods and Crips in America.
Oh my god.
Maybe I'm reading into it too much. Yeah, I don't think it was that. But basically, they were fighting each other. You will find out in the movie, I guess, like to kind of know why. But that was towards the end when they were fighting each other, and then Daniel Kaluuya, I think his name's Kaluuya, right? Daniel Kaluuya. How can I not even know your name? I'm so sorry, Daniel. If you ever watch this, I'm so sorry. I apologize. But he basically was you know, fighting against the woman, the warrior woman.
Yeah, because Michael B. Jordan, just for some context, Michael B. Jordan's character wanted to sort of take over Wakanda.
Basically, no. Let's even like go from the beginning. In fact, basically, Michael B. Jordan he
was the villain in the movie.
He was the villain in the movie, but he was a good villain because we understood.
That's what a lot of people in like a lot of the reviews were saying. Like they liked that he wasn't just a villain for being the sake of it. Like he actually, his reasoning, he was well intended, because even though he was doing it in a bad way and like, you know, his intentions. So let's talk about his intentions, right? And let's talk about another topic that they touched upon, which was colonizer. They touched upon issues of oppression, issues of poverty, within the black community.
They touched on so many issues that are so prominent and relevant.
Prevalent. Yeah, all of those.
Prevalent, relevant, prominent, everything. Like all of them. But basically, Daniel, what's his name? Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah,
Michael B. Jordan. You know, his father had been killed. Killjoy. Yeah. Michael B. Jordan. His father had been killed by the main character, Black Panther's father, who was the original Black Panther, was killed basically, and he had, he basically, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like his father was killed, but his father had lived in America, and his father had seen that loads of black people were being oppressed, while in Wakanda in Africa, you know, they were living an amazing life, they were thriving. That was another thing as well, the fact that every stereotype was eradicated and broken in this movie, because number one, in Wakanda they were the most developed, even further developed,
way more than these Western societies out.
Everything. People kept referring to Wakanda as a third world country. Please tell me how that was a third world. First of all, the first comment that was made, like, oh, you're talking about a third world country. Then the white man who called it a third world country went to go and see it and was shocked by all the advancement and the technology. He was saved by the technology and the advancements of the people in Wakanda and by the young lady.
He would have had a spinal injury. Yeah, he wouldn't have even been able to, even if he survived, he wouldn't have been able to walk. Like,
but it was because of their technology that he was healed and their healing power. And then it's really interesting as well, because he said, oh, by magic, you don't just get healed by magic.
Overnight.
And she was like, You weren't healed by magic, mate. You were healed by technology.
Yeah.
Like, actually, we're above and beyond what you think that we are. Then another thing as well that was kind of broken, a stereotype that was broken, was the fact that people have always said, you know, when they think of Africa, like every time narratives of Africa have been depicted, has always been like they're barbaric, they're barbarians, they eat other humans, they're savages, they're cannibals, all of these things. And then they made a joke in the movie like so basically the white man tried to speak to this leader guy, and then he basically shut him up, right? And what was he doing to shut him up? He's like, oh yeah.
I remember that. Oh my God, I remember. When he was trying to, so everyone else got
like, to speak. All the other black people got to speak. When the white man now came to speak, he's like,
and everyone's like, and they just,
and then he was like, you cannot speak before you better be quiet before I feed you to my children. Then he was like, just kidding, we're vegetarians. And it was just so funny because it took it in a very light-hearted way, but it was such an important part.
Because like, we're not savages, like you guys think, like we're not uncivilized, like we are civilized. Like,
sorry, we're the start of civilization. Just letting you
that's
know.
Even listen.
We used to, let me just tell you one thing, seeing as we're talking about our history, we bathed before. I just wish that history was told in reality.
See, like,
you know, it's so interesting how, because for so long history has been so whitewashed, and white people have taken it upon themselves to eradicate history for what it was.
And all we've been reading is all these history books, textbooks by white men and white, like, all these organizations which are led by white people. So obviously we're not going to hear the narrative that had been before, that they have tried to hide from us for all this time, but how we were even more civilized but before they even came and you know, took over and ruined everything.
Oh, there's so much,
there's a lot, like
there's so much. Even guys, we had kingdoms, fam. Like we had empires and kingdoms, like we were the start of civilization. The first ever university was in Timbuktu, which is a real place in Africa. Timbuktu, the first ever university. And like, people thought that university is a Western and a European thing. No, it's not actually. Things like physics and science and all of these things, a lot of it was branched from, even mathematics. A lot of it was branched off from Moors and from Africans and from black people who discovered these things, and then obviously white people came and they stole and they pillaged and they raped and they murdered and they stole, and they kept things for themselves and watched everybody else burn and die. Do you know what I always think? I've got a theory. I feel like Africans or black people were so loving, and that was what
and then
part of our downfall was, because we love and we're so open to like sharing or like not even necessarily always sharing, sometimes
but like welcoming people, welcoming,
and that's what happened even in Ghana. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember someone told me obviously the person was Ghanaian and done research about their history, and they were basically saying how, you know, there was like a port, like a harbour where boats used to come in to trade with obviously Ghana and I think it was like some Western country, I don't know, but they used to come to trade, and then because basically the people were so, like, they were too nice, they kind of opened up their ports, and then they kind of came and just were like, the joke's on you, and then came and like basically stole power, I think overturned the throne and overturned the king, and then just was just stealing and doing what the colonizer knows how to do best. Anyway, back to the film, because I really digress.
Yeah, so Killjoy, so the villain, because we were talking about the villain and like his backstory, and his dad had been killed because he sort of betrayed Wakanda because he was trying to sell vibranium, which was this like advanced technology that everything in Wakanda was made of, which was able to give them this healing powers to build their armors and make them be able to like fly. Like, that's his suit was made out of Black Panther's suit was made out of vibranium, and so his dad, Killjoy's dad, wanted to share this with, you know, the like all these poor.
So he was basically saying like how you guys in Wakanda are living really, really well, while there's black people across the world who are suffering.
Yeah, and so he was killed because of it, because he sort of betrayed his country because of trying to give their, because they had survived for so long because they were concealed, and that's what they felt like they had to do in order to survive. And they were saying like, reason. But
you guys are living like cushy lives, you're living good lives, but then there's black people in the world that are suffering, and so Michael B. Jordan was basically saying that the only reason that they have been suffering and that they've been oppressed for so long, so he was basically like a what are you doing? Sorry, stop it. He was basically like an anti-colonialist, or like a literally like an anti-colonialist basically, and wanted to free the people, to decolonize. He was is it
decolonization? Yeah.
Decolonize. Basically, he wanted to decolonize the people in it, and we're kind of like, listen, there's people in America. I grew up in America, because he'd grown up in America. He was like, I'd grown up in America, like suffered, you know, have seen how black people are treated, you know, we're incarcerated with this. I remember there was even a part where they were talking about it. They were like, we're incarcerated with this, with that, we're treated like absolutely nothing, and the only reason we're not able to break free is because we don't have the resources, we don't have the means to fight back. And he said, you guys are living here and you have all these means to fight, which is kind of really interesting, because part of me was kind of like, I wanted them to get the power so that I could see how they would react, and how that would that then mean that we become just as bad as the colonizer.
Because that's what they were saying as well. That's what they were saying. Because the thing is, when he this is what I mean, he was well intended, because like he had good intentions, because like what they were saying was that you wanna like, they were like, they didn't like how he, because he
you want to free the people,
but his plan was to, he said, kill everyone, let's kill everyone, let's start over, I'm gonna burn everything to the ground,
that are gonna be on top, blah, blah, blah. So he's basically saying that let's kill basically doing what white people did to black people. He was basically saying like, let's do what they did to them, but then doesn't that just make us, so they were basically saying, but then you've just become just as bad as them then. What is, like, what are you trying to gain? What are you trying to get from it? Because he was literally like, kill them and all their children. It was like no mercy to them. They have oppressed us for so long. Now we have the means to break our oppression.
He like strangled one of like the grandma women, like one of the healers women. I was like, oh my God.
That was when I was like, you bad for that though. You know, we get your cause. But anyway, guys, so we've talked about characters, we talked about the narrative, we talked about the women.
Yeah, the women. No, a major scene was during the war. I thought you were gonna mention it, but you didn't. During the war.
Basically, guys, during like the civil war, whatever it was, and this is where we're gonna end, just because we could talk about it forever. But there was a scene whereby they're fighting each other. Okay, Daniel Kaluuya has now joined Michael B. Jordan, and he's kind of like on his side,
his
like,
army.
He's kind of like on his side, like, yes, we can make a difference, we can actually help our people, let's change things. But then the woman that was the main warrior is like, this is not the way to do it. So they're now fighting, but they're lovers, so they are in a relationship or whatever, and then they come face to face, head on like this, and he obviously comes off of the rhino.
That rhino
comes off of the rhino to kind of stand in front of her, and she draws her weapon, and he's like, no, he draws his weapon first. Sorry guys, I ran out of space on my card, but we're just gonna wrap it up anyway, because we've been talking forever and we could literally talk about Wakanda forever. I was explaining the story. So they're standing face to face, guys. These two dark-skinned, melanin-filled, beautiful individuals are standing face to face, looking at each other, and he literally goes, "You would kill me, my love," and then she takes out her spear and she says, "For Wakanda, I will kill you without hesitation.
Something along those lines.
The intensity in her face, and the fact that, you know, normally, number one, normally it's always the woman that always seems very conscientious. Oh my God, okay. Normally, number one, it's always the woman that seems very conscientious. Yeah? She always seems the one that's emotional, the one that always thinks with her emotions. And I thought she would stand down. Like, when he spoke of love, because he was the one that brought out love. But she didn't. She literally looked at him and looked him in the eye, and she brought out a speech. She said, "For Wakanda,
for our country.
I would do it without, like, you know, without
like, she's
hesitation.
a warrior.
And then literally, guys, the most beautiful moment I think of that entire movie was he literally looked at her, and then you see the camera move to where there's a shot of them two in it. It's a two shot. I think I remember that's what it used to be called when I did media. a two shot, I think. Anyway, there's a shot, guys, where you see the two of them standing face to face, and he chucks his weapon on the ground because he told her to put her weapon down.
Yeah.
She didn't listen.
Yeah.
He chucks his weapon on the ground and he kneels before her, as in, like, he goes down on his knees, and so as soon as he does, it then prompts everybody else, the rest of his army, which is all men, to kneel, which I just deeped. Then they would have meant that all the men would have kneeled before the women,
and the women were all standing. They were all standing, like, looking at them, like, yes.
And the women, guys, like, you don't understand. The black women, they were so powerful.
They were so powerful. Like, when the army came together, it gave me shit. Like, I'm getting shivers just thinking about it now.
Did you see the bit? Do you remember the bit when they were fighting Michael B. Jordan?
Yes, and they all came.
And he killed one of the women, though. He killed one of the women. And she was like, yo, and that bit was mad.
They were so amazing, like, they were
and then they all came together, and then they put their spears together. They were so coordinated, and they were fighting against this one man. They were all just it was just fantastic. Like, guys, the way that the women were just depicted in such a beautiful, wonderful way. And I think there was somebody that referred to them as, like, queen or whatever it was, or whatever it is. I don't know. But it was just, it was incredible just to see, you know, and that scenes particularly, just to see the power dynamics between, you know, between
the men and the
and the women, and in that particular moment whereby the man is kneeling before a woman just to show, like, her it was like the respect, and to show that she was supreme, she's a goddess, she's a queen. Like, this woman is where life starts, quite literally, and I felt all of that. It was very, very empowering, very, very beautiful. Especially from a dark skin woman.
Trust me, like
natural hair, no hair.
It wasn't just because a lot of these movies, they just have sort of light-skinned women at the forefront of everything.
I don't think you guys even understand how important that is.
That's so important. A dark-skinned woman gaining the respect, not just being the butt of the joke, like, not just being laughed at. Like, a lot of the time, like, dark-skinned women, like, are just seen as the funny ones, the jokers,
as, like, the ratchet ones,
or anything like that, the crazy one, or the angry black girl. But it was here, they were seen as powerful, respected, respectable women, like, highly, like, you had to bow down.
Where Lupita Nyong'o was like, you're the most powerful warrior that there is in this play. For her to be known as the most powerful warrior,
not a man, but a woman,
and she was passionate without coming across aggressive, and nobody looking at her as. And
she wasn't emotional. Like, she didn't let, like, her emotion get in front of her. Like, when Lupita wanted to, like, escape and, like, take down at first she was like, I have to stand by my country. You need to know. Like, it just seemed like she was just
rational, very
rational. That's the word. She was rational,
strong. All the women basically were just strong, and they were at the forefront of this movie, and it was incredible. I just salute the team. I salute all of the characters.
Cooley or something like that. The director. He's so young as well. Like, he's so young, and already he did Creed, he did this Black Panther. He did a lot of good movies. I think he did 42 or something like that. Like, he did really.
Let me find his name.
Amazing.
We have to respect.
And you can put some respect on his name. Put some respect on his name. Like, I need to know his name.
Why are you not coming in? No, this is me and Marin's video.
And like you can tell, like, his sort of cinematography and, like, his you can tell that it's him. You can show it, like, you can see it shine through.
All I want to say is thank you, because I can only imagine, and it gives me so much pride to know that I was part of a time whereby a film had all these incredible black individuals who weren't just depicted in their sexuality or in their ability to be admired, you know, in a way that's kind of is a bit obscure. No, it was their strength, their intelligence, like the young girl,
the younger sister,
the sister who played, I forgot her name in the movie, but she was in Top Boy as well. My other sister discovered that she was in Top Boy, but she was intelligent, she was smart, she was articulate, she was, you know, she was witty, she was funny, you know, just the fact that they presented so many different types of blackness, like, and that was another thing. Blackness was not put in a box. It wasn't just one. It wasn't an ideal of what blackness should be and should represent. Blackness
was more complex,
and being African was made complex as well. Being African wasn't just you speak this different foreign language and you eat this food and you live in huts and you you don't have any form of technology. You're not smart.
And it's just the
desert.
They were
intelligent.
They were amazing.
They were developed. They were way developed. It was
like they were like more like futuristic and more advanced and much more like technological. Ryan Coogler, that's it.
Ryan Coogler.
Oh, I was thinking of Jordan Peele.
No, not Jordan Peele. Shout out to Jordan Peele as well, because you did a lot with Get Out.
Yes.
And Angela Bassett.
Oh, she was just graceful and amazing.
So phenomenal.
Oh, I loved her dreads.
So, her dreads were really
white
nice.
or silver
the white dreads.
They were nice.
Everything was wonderful, guys. Honestly, like, I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to watch it again with my girls because I went with my boo thing.
Give them more money.
I'm going to watch it.
Give them more money.
Yeah, but that's what we're going to do. We're gonna support our film.
Yeah.
But guys, honestly, let me just say to Ryan Coogler, to the whole cast, to everyone, we appreciate this movie so much. This movie is more than just a film. It's more than just a Marvel movie. It is literally taking blackness and representing it in the most positive and most incredible light, but also not being afraid of the whole African thing. Not running away from the whole tribalism and the tribes and the culture,
like the dances and the tribal rituals
and the clothes and
it was amazing.
Not running away from that. It was so beautiful. Like, I absolutely loved it. It was phenomenal.
Like, and I just love how it sort of allowed Americans to sort of see like this different side of Africa, which, because there was I think Michael B. Jordan said in like an interview how like it's different in like Britain, but in America, like I don't think they're as in touch with the sort of African culture, and they have this idea like you know like about Africa that's just it's
almost like white people. It's literally like that. But you know, I don't even you know, I'm not even surprised or I'm not even angered by that, because you know, when your history, and that's what the colonizer
has just been taken, ripped away from
when you take somebody's history and you don't know who they were and where they've come from, it's so easy to manipulate them in order to determine where they're going to go and where they're going to be. If for so long that you've eradicated someone's history, and for so long you've told people that they're worthless, they're nothing, they are just criminals, they deserve to be incarcerated in prisons, and you've told them for so long they're drug dealers, they're this, they're that. You pump drugs into their community and alcohol and all of these things. You infest their communities with mass incarceration, and you remove role models of men, black men. You create their father figures. You remove that. You demonize black people, and you continue to you know, you create a vicious cycle whereby then people are angry and they're frustrated because their fathers weren't there. The fathers weren't there to lead them. When you do all of these things for so long, do you know what I mean? Like, it comes to no surprise that you're gonna be so detached, because you don't like, the colonizer knew what he was doing.
But now it's bridging those gaps. Like now with movies like this, it's bridging those gaps that have just been separated. Just been open for too long, for just
infiltrated for so long. And I think it was amazing to see. That's true, you know, for African Americans to be able to feel somewhat connected to their history
and be proud of it,
and to be proud.
And instead of feeling like, oh no, I'm African American. I'm not African.
I'm not African. I'm African American. Okay, we not African. No, you're African, honey. Okay, darling, you're African. Okay, honey, and it's a beautiful thing to be. Like, I definitely feel like us as Brits,
I feel like because a lot of us are like first generation, second generation, like,
but when you're in America, is your ancestry is so lost, and they've literally ripped your history to shreds. That's what you become. You don't know what you are, who you are, and so you kind of just float in this blackness that's not really, that you don't really understand, you know, fully. And even with us, like, we're still learning.
We don't understand.
We sort of don't completely understand a lot of things, but it was just beautiful, man. We could literally talk about it forever. But guys, if you haven't watched it already, please make sure you go and watch it. Make sure you support. Make sure you know, we've already seen that it's already blasted the box office numbers. It's gone crazy. Both here, Korea, even Japan. Like, it's amazing. It's an amazing movie.
Guys, watch the movie.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you. This is something that like our children's children will be talking about, our children's children, and it's going to be in textbook and history books, you know, for people to understand that this is a part of history, to see an all-black cast do so well in Hollywood and in American, you know, and in the UK and in the Western world, and for it to be so Afrocentric.
Yeah.
I just think, it was incredible. So thank you so much, because this was for us, man. This was for the culture.
Yeah, for the culture.
Nah, we got to do it at the same time. Wakanda forever.
Yes.
Get Molly next to you. And these candles by my bed just so I can set the mood. Told me that she got it, told her that I need some brew. Lighting getting dimmer, but the flame still blue. Fire in your eyes, this is all so true. Just know I love ya.